The New England Colonies. The map shows the New England colonies. The New England colonies were the northernmost of the British colonies. At first, there were 4 New England colonies: New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. The New England colonies later included Maine, which was originally part of Massachusetts, and Vermont, which was claimed by both the colonies of New Hampshire and New York. The environment of the New England colonies affected many things. Let's take a look at the different environmental factors. Climate of the New England colonies. Because the New England colonies were the farthest north, the overall climate was colder than the other 2 colonial regions. The winters in New England were long and harsh. Deep snow covered the land, and the temperature was bitterly cold. New England summers were short and mild, but not really hot. Summers meant short growing seasons. The New England climate consisted of harsh winters and a short growing season. New England climate and disease. Disease spread rapidly in warm, moist climates, but not in colder climates. Therefore, the colder New England climate was a positive factor because it prevented the spread of life-threatening diseases such as malaria among the colonists. The cold climate was also a negative factor for the colonists in New England. The same climate that prevented disease from spreading killed many people. Because the severe winters were bitterly cold, many colonists who could not get adequate shelter caught pneumonia. Some even froze to death. Geography of the New England colonies. Many thousands of years ago, New England was covered by thick sheets of ice called glaciers. The glaciers scraped away most of the good soil and left behind a thin, rocky soil. The glaciers also carved out many mountains and valleys. The hills and mountains were not far from the coastlines. What little flat land there was in New England was covered with poor rocky soil. New England geography was mostly hills and rocky soil. I would like to take a minute for you to see a short video about glaciers. I think it's important that you know a little bit about glaciers. Here we go. There will be no questions during this video, but please pay attention.
How do glaciers shape the landscape? Glaciers are frozen rivers of ice which have immense power. Glaciers are so powerful, they can carve huge chunks out of mountains as they flow downhill. This makes them one of the most powerful natural tools on our planet. Glaciers are sometimes called nature's bulldozer. Just like a bulldozer, glaciers shape the land in 3 ways. Firstly, glaciers pick up material. We call this erosion. Water flowing along the bottom of the glacier seeps down into the rock below. When it freezes, it opens up the cracks in the rock. This is known as freeze-thaw weathering. Then, as the glacier flows downhill, pieces of rock come loose and the glacier pulls them along with it. We call this plucking. Ouch! These rocks and stones scrape along the glacier bed like sandpaper, taking more rocks and stones along for the ride. This is called abrasion. Secondly, the glacier transports this eroded material as it flows downhill. Some of it is hidden inside or at the base of the glacier where it can't be seen, but sometimes it is transported on the top of the glacier. This is why glaciers often look dirty. As the glacier flows down a mountain, it gets warmer and starts to melt. Just like a snowman, anything which cannot melt is left behind. As the glacier melts, the rocks and stones fall to the ground. We call this deposition. By now, this material is a tasty mixture of rocks, stones, sand and clay, known as glacial till. The melted ice turns into meltwater and flows downhill to join a river or lake. Today, glaciers only exist in the coldest parts of our planet. But during the last ice age, glaciers existed in the UK too. Although the ice has melted, they have left behind some awesome scenery. As our planet warms up, many of our amazing glaciers are melting fast. So grab your walking boots and head to your nearest glacier while there's still time to see nature's bulldozer in action.
All right, thank you for staying tuned to that video. We are going to go back to our PowerPoint presentation now to talk about the last environmental factor. The last environmental factor to speak about is our natural resources. Natural resources of the New England colonies. Farming was not productive in the New England colonies because of the poor rocky soil and the short growing season. Because farming was so unproductive, New England colonists started developing many of their region's natural resources as a way to survive and earn money. New Englanders started harvesting things from the sea as a way to earn a living. For instance, when New England whalers caught a whale, they turned the whale's blubber into oil for lamps, candles, and other products. New England fishermen caught lobsters, herring, and cod. The fish were dried or salted and sold to the other colonies or to Britain. The mountainous environment prevented the colonists from having large farms, but those mountains were covered by thick forests. Colonists used those trees for lumber. They also got furs from wild animals they trapped or that they bought from Native American trappers. Fish, whales, trees, and furs were the most important natural resources for New Englanders.